Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? Well, I got a really exciting email this morning when I filled out my survey for the Kickstarter for the Ministry of Unusual Affairs and for Mordavia, Land of Horrors, for the Leagues of Adventure, Leagues of Gothic Horror game. I added some extra stuff on, just like you usually can with a Kickstarter. And so one of the things I added on was this book that was finally available. And this is The Guide to Lairs for the Leagues of Gothic Horror expansion for Leagues of Adventure. This is a really, really cool supplement. And this is something I think they were talking about it for a while. It might have been a stretch goal that didn't quite fund and another Kickstarter for this. I think that might be correct. Don't quote me. I'm not 100% sure. But I remember there was some talk about this for a little while. So it's finally available. I just finally got the PDF today. So I think it's probably going to be on sale to the general public, if it not so already, really soon. Not that expensive because it's smaller than their usual supplements, like 32 pages. Really, really cool. So, I waited all day, drove home, downloaded it, put it on my iPad, went to the gym, got on the exercise bike, and while I was pedaling away furiously, I read it, and I was knocked out. And once again, Paul Wiggy Wade Williams of Triple Ace Games has knocked this out of the park. So really, really cool little supplement. So what the heck is a lair? I'm not going to tell you everything about this book because that's why you buy it. But a lair isn't just like the vampire's castle or where the monster lives. It could be where the monster lives. However, it's a place. It's an area. It could be a room in a house. It could be the entire house. It could be a castle. It could be part of a town. It could be the whole town. It could be a farmstead. It could be a mountain pass. It could be the entire mountain, a forest, the heart of the forest. All that, just think of all the stories you've read where there's some area that people just don't go, where bad things happen there, where strange things happen there. That's a lair. And this game, like Wall of Ubiquity, it manages to rate these things. And a lot of what this book really does is it takes ideas that we've used for a long time, ideas we've taken from fiction, put into our games where this is a spooky place, weird stuff happens here, and it's formalized it. It's put it into the rules of Ubiquity and allowed this place to interact with your characters as if it was a character itself. Now, lairs aren't intelligent, they don't have motivations, they don't have desires or goals, but they can be triggered by people, moving into them. They can react to people as they enter there and act to expel them, act to corrupt them, act to maybe drive them insane or make them do something they wouldn't want to do, maybe make them stay. The list goes on and on. So there's a guide to rating how powerful a lair is, and it goes from 1 to 5, just like hurricanes. And it's based on how many points you put into that lair. And what do you spend these points on? You spend these points on all these various effects the lair might have. It might drive people crazy. It might, make things like, lights extinguish. It might, where doors open and close automatically, or where just, apparitions happen to appear. Not real apparitions, but things that you think are apparitions. It could exert some kind of corrupting influence on a person. It could, act to make everybody in the area act as if they don't know it's there. The townspeople won't talk about it. Maybe the townspeople won't talk to outsiders at all. Maybe animals will become aggressive and attack you. And so each effect that this lair might have, and the list goes on and on. It's all really, really flavorful. All, for the most part, straight out of like the fiction that we've read and watched and et cetera, seen in movies, et cetera. Really, really flavorful, evocative stuff. And then once you assign all these various traits to it, you can strengthen them by adding more points. And you strengthen them mechanically in terms of how they interact with the characters. And you can also reduce the cost of a lot of those effects by putting limitations on them. Like maybe it only happens at night. Maybe it only affects women. Maybe it only affects people of a certain religious bent. Goes on and on. You figure out like what the limitation might happen to be, and maybe it only happens during the full moon, blah blah blah, etc. The list goes on and on. But really, really cool way to formalize all that stuff. And then one of the cooler things is lairs could act synergistically with the monster, a bad guy, a vampire, a werewolf, some crazy person that lives there. The typical bread and butter of your Leagues of Gothic Horror games, or Leagues of Cthulhu, because you can use this in that iteration of Leagues of Gothic Horror as well. Or the lairs could in fact act antagonistically with some kind of being like that. They don't necessarily have to be friendly. Where does a lair come from? A lair comes from the history involved there, and this is where the book encourages you to make this stuff up. It gives you a bunch of examples, but the idea that something happened in that area that caused that area to have this horrible aura, which makes it act like that, which makes it act as a malicious entity unto itself. Really, really cool. And the book rounds out with a whole bunch of artifacts or relics. Really, really cool items that have their own kind of corruption and sanity mechanics and effects that they can do. Just adds a lot of flavor to the Leagues of Gothic Horror campaign. So I really like this because the books have talked a lot about spooky areas and given areas some ratings and what have you. But this just dives much deeper in there. Allows it to affect things like the horror mechanic. Maybe just the area itself increases the horror rating of everything. Makes you more susceptible to becoming horrified or picking up flaws or whatever. The list goes on and on. I could say I want to open it up and just kind of read everything off to you, but that's why you buy it. But a really, really cool product, well worth it. Once again, I am satisfied with what I got. So hats off to Wiggy, and he deserves a Christmas break. Have a good one.